Hey everybody, Matt Botten here, and doing a really impromptu and quick, unplanned version of Astrological Winds channel tonight on the Biden inauguration chart. And this chart to me is just off the wall. I mean, all I can say is President Biden, you need an astrologer, I'm available. You really couldn't have picked a more, for today anyway, a worse time to be sworn in. The official time is 11:48 a.m. when he got sworn in, a little bit early, and he would have been better if he had waited another hour or two. And I'll explain why. Now you can see in this chart right away, right here is the Mars-Uranus conjunction right on the ascendant. And Mars-Uranus is all about upsets, sudden events that occur that are very disturbing, upsetting, bring a quick change, oftentimes a violent change, oftentimes like an event that's like just changes things in a moment forever, and usually very, very chaotic burst of energy. And to have it on the ascendant basically just pins it onto the physical plane or the events that this administration is going to have to deal with. So to me, this is very dangerous too, because the ascendant also represents the body. And, whose body would that be? Well, of course, it would be the president-elect. So, like, sudden upsets, Mars also a physical planet that has to do with the body in a very weak sign, Taurus, in detriment. And the fact that, like, this just can indicate some kind of sudden changing event to that person and this administration. So this could easily indicate a death, injury, some kind of violent event against his body. Like it could be a sudden heart attack or an assassination, God forbid, or something like that. But this is pinned right into this chart. So right away you have a serious issue. And then you look up here, and here the sun, which represents the leader in a mundane chart, here it's in Aquarius, which really represents this good. At 1 degree Aquarius, a new administration coming in with a whole different value system that they think is going to improve all the systems. So that's all about Aquarius, and they think it's going to, create equality. So that's all the sun in Aquarius here. And yet, look at where the sun is, in between Saturn and Pluto, the two planets that represent death in the chart and are just sort of the most transformative and very intense or negative energy. And the sun is in between them, what we call besieged in astrology by these two malefic, very malefic planets. So once again, and then look where Pluto is too, right on the MC. Just like Uranus and Mars is on the ascendant, Pluto is right on the MC. This is what the status or how this administration is seen by the public. And Pluto, being the Lord of death and destruction, could end up being what the public image of this administration can be. So this is just really, and then only, it only gets, not even any better here. To top it all off, and this one just blows my mind, the moon at 2856 of Aries, right? So at the critical 29th degree of this very fiery, angry sign that actually is ruled by this Mars with the conjunction to Uranus, right? And the moon, when it's this late, is of course void of course. You never ever start an event on a void of course moon. That's like starting an event on a Mercury retrograde. This means that the intentions and goals of this administration are going to go awry. They're not going to turn out the way they expect them or want them to be. So this is very, very just a tough chart. And then go to here and look at our nodal axis in the 2nd and 8th, which incidentally is money and the money at home and money abroad, international banking, the assets of the land, that kind of thing. That's where there's going to be a lot of karma tied up, and it's squaring Neptune conjunct Ceres, which is, going to diffuse a lot of this energy and bring a lot of confusion here. And interesting too, in the 11th house, which in a mundane chart represents the legislator, which shows there may be issues to what both sides want done because of the legislator not being able to really get together with what they and agree with what's going on with the administration. And then here's another thing too that's really interesting too. So the chart has Taurus rising, which means Venus is the ruler of the chart. And when you look at this Venus, it's not, even though it has some triplicity rulership in Capricorn, this is not a happy Venus. Look at this. There's really no aspects. There's trine to the ascendant, right? But the ascendant is not a planet. And then there's another trine down to Vesta, the asteroid, but it's more than 6 degrees. And to me, that's not strong enough for an asteroid. Then that's not truly a trine. It's actually out of orb. So to me, this Venus basically is unaspected. And so the unexpected things going on, issues with relationships to authority. But here what I really started to think is this. This could also represent who ends up being the real leader of this administration. Venus, a woman who becomes the boss, Capricorn, and is involved in law and order, Capricorn. That would be Vice President Harris. And close to the MC, she's applying to a conjunction to the MC, to the career, public social status. So it looks like this administration is going to have a very difficult time with a lot of upsetting events at the very least, a possible danger to the president's life with the possibility that the vice president could become the leader, and inability to really get things going in the asset banking finance zone, and maybe even great loss there. So really, really needed to consult an astrologer, because the reality is if he had waited till just like an hour or two later, the separation off the MC from Pluto and from Mars, Uranus, and then the moon wouldn't have been void of course anymore. In fact, it would have been in the strong sign of Taurus for the moon. It would have been exalted in Taurus. And yes, closing in on a conjunction to Mars too, which is another interesting thing about this chart. And also, just the one thing that is interesting about it is the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which represents new beginnings, is at the top of the chart. And so we are going to see a lot of changes and new beginnings and new programs too. But the reality is this chart is just not the type of chart you would want to start anything with, the least of which something like an administration that's leading a country. So the president did not consult his astrologer and get the best time, which is the reason why election charts for something important is one of the services astrologers like myself offer, so that you do get your timing right. Because just changing this an hour or two would have taken 3 of the 5 heavy conditions right out of the chart and made it a lot easier to deal with. Anyway, this is Matt Lawton. It's the Astrological Winds channel, a free service, also available on Spotify and Buzzsprout and Apple iPodcast. Just look up the Astrological Winds channel. Become a follower on YouTube. Pass it around, please. It's the best thing you can do to repay me. Share this with people who are interested in astrology. And if you need a reading, come see me. It's matthue823@gmail.com. Email me. We'll talk prices. I do all kinds of readings. I will see you on Monday for the last weather forecast for January 2021. Quickly becoming a very rapid month of changing events and a lot of interesting stuff already going on that's fitting in with the energy of these times. Okay, until then, I'll see you Monday.